Thrissur KGMOA Jilla President Dr. Asina VI, Jilla Treasurer Dr. Jilsho George, Midson Vice President Dr. Jo Kuruvilla. ഓൺലൈനായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ മീറ്റിംഗിലേക്ക് എത്തിച്ചേർന്നിരിക്കുന്ന കേരള ഹെൽത്ത് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ ബഹുമാന്യനായ വൈസ് ചാൻസലർ ഡോക്ടർ മോഹനൻ കുന്നുമ്മൽ, സേവ് സോയിൽ ഇനീഷ്യേറ്റീവിൻ്റെ ടെക്നിക്കൽ ലീഡ് മിസ് പ്രവീണ ശ്രീധർ, ഇന്നത്തെ സ്പീക്കേഴ്സ് ഓഫ് ദ ഡേ ഡോക്ടർ സുജിത് കുമാർ മല്ലപ്പള്ളി ആൻഡ് ഡോക്ടർ അരുന്ധതി, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട KGMOA അംഗങ്ങളെ, ആരോഗ്യ പ്രവർത്തകരെ, സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ വിനീതമായ നമസ്കാരം. ഇന്ന് ഏപ്രിൽ 7 ലോകാരോഗ്യ ദിനം. ലോകാരോഗ്യ സംഘടനയുടെ ജന്മദിനമായ ഇന്ന് എല്ലാ വർഷവും ആരോഗ്യ സന്ദേശങ്ങൾ, ആരോഗ്യ മേഖലയിൽ പുതിയ അവബോധങ്ങൾ സമൂഹത്തിന് സമ്മാനിക്കാനായിട്ട് നാം മാറ്റിവെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ദിനമാണ്. സാധാരണ നമ്മുടെ റുട്ടീൻസിൽ നിന്നും വ്യത്യസ്തമായിട്ട് ഇപ്രാവശ്യം അവർ പ്ലാനറ്റ് അവർ ഹെൽത്ത്, നമ്മുടെ ഭൂമി നമ്മുടെ ആരോഗ്യം എന്ന വിഷയമാണ് ഈ വർഷം നമ്മൾ മുന്നോട്ട് വയ്ക്കുന്നത്. മനുഷ്യന്റെ ശരീരത്തെ പറ്റിയും അതിലുള്ള വ്യവഹാരങ്ങളെ പറ്റിയും ഡോക്ടർമാരെന്ന നിലയ്ക്ക് നമുക്ക് കൃത്യമായ അവബോധവും പ്രാവീണ്യവും ഉണ്ട്. എന്നാലും ഹെൽത്ത് ബിയോണ്ട് ബോഡി, ശരീരത്തിനപ്പുറം ആരോഗ്യം എങ്ങനെ, ഈ പ്രകൃതിയുമായും ഭൂമിയുമായും ആരോഗ്യം എങ്ങനെ ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു എന്നീ വിഷയങ്ങളിലേക്ക് കൂടി വെളിച്ചം വീശുന്നതായിരിക്കണം ഇപ്രാവശ്യത്തെ ശാസ്ത്രീയ അവതരണം എന്ന് KGMOയുടെ ജില്ലാ കമ്മിറ്റി തീരുമാനിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. ആ തീരുമാനത്തിന്റെ ഒരു യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തിലാണ് ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ യാത്ര ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇത്തരത്തിലൊരു ഉദ്യമം ഏറ്റെടുത്തപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ആദ്യമായി നേരിട്ട ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട്, ശാസ്ത്രീയ അടിത്തറയുള്ള ഈ വിഷയത്തെ പറ്റി സംസാരിക്കാൻ അറിയുന്ന, പ്രായോഗികമായും ശാസ്ത്രീയമായും വൈകാരികമായും ഇതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്ന സ്പീക്കേഴ്സിനെ, അവതാരകരെ കണ്ടെത്തുക എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. ആ സമയത്താണ് നമ്മൾ സേവ് ദ സോയിൽ ഇനീഷ്യേറ്റീവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെടുന്നതും ISHA ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ സേവ് സോയിൽ ഇനീഷ്യേറ്റീവ് ആ ഒരു ടാസ്ക് നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി വളരെ പോസിറ്റീവായിട്ട് ചെയ്തു തന്നു. അതിൽ 2 വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങൾ ഞാൻ എടുത്തു പറയാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഒന്ന്, തൃശ്ശൂരത്തെ സേവ് സോയിൽ ഇനീഷ്യേറ്റീവിന്റെ കോർഡിനേറ്റർ മിസ്റ്റർ കിരൺ. 2, ISHA ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് കോണ്ടാക്റ്റ് ആയി വന്ന സ്വാമി നക്ഷത്ര. രണ്ടാളുടെയും പോസിറ്റീവ് എനർജിയും എഫേർട്ടും കൂടിയാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ ഈ യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തിലേക്ക് നമ്മളെ എത്തിച്ചത്. ഇനി ദീർഘിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല, ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഔദ്യോഗിക കൃത്യനിർവഹണത്തിലേക്ക് കടക്കുകയാണ്. മീറ്റിംഗിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന ഓരോരുത്തരെയായിട്ട് ഞാൻ വെൽക്കം ചെയ്യാം. ആദ്യമായി നമ്മുടെ അധ്യക്ഷ, തൃശ്ശൂർ KGMOയുടെ ജില്ലാ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ഡോക്ടർ അസീന VI. പ്രവർത്തനത്തിന്റെ ചടുലത കൊണ്ടും അംഗങ്ങളുമായുള്ള വൈകാരിക ബന്ധം കൊണ്ടും നമുക്കിടയിൽ തീർത്തും ശ്രദ്ധേയയായ മാഡത്തെ ഞാൻ ഈ മീറ്റിംഗിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. KGMOയുടെ മിഡ്സോൺ വൈസ് പ്രസിഡന്റ് ഡോക്ടർ ജോ കുരുവിള. ഉറച്ച നിലപാട് കൊണ്ടും വേറിട്ട ശബ്ദം കൊണ്ടും നമുക്കിടയിൽ എന്നും ബഹുമാനം പിടിച്ചു പറ്റിയിരുന്ന അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഞാൻ ഈ മീറ്റിംഗിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. അടുത്തതായി തൃശ്ശൂർ KGMOയുടെ ജില്ലാ ട്രഷറർ ഡോക്ടർ ജിൽഷോ ജോർജ്. യുവത്വത്തിന്റെ സംഘടനയിലെ റെപ്രസെന്റേറ്റീവ്, തൃശ്ശൂർ ജില്ലയിലെ പൊതുജനാരോഗ്യ പരിപാടികൾക്ക് ചുക്കാൻ പിടിക്കുന്ന വ്യക്തി, പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ആരോഗ്യ പ്രവർത്തകർക്കിടയിൽ ട്രെയിനിങ്ങുകൾ പോലെയുള്ള പ്രോഗ്രാമുകൾ റുട്ടീനായിട്ട് കോർഡിനേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആള്. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഞാൻ ഈ ചടങ്ങിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ ഉദ്ഘാടകൻ, കേരള ഹെൽത്ത് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ വൈസ് ചാൻസലർ, കേരളത്തിലെ മെഡിക്കൽ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിന്റെ ഉന്നതാധികാരി, ആരോഗ്യ പ്രവർത്തകർക്കിടയിലും ആരോഗ്യ സമൂഹത്തിലും ഡോക്ടർമാർക്കുമിടയിൽ ചലനം സൃഷ്ടിക്കാൻ മാത്രം കഴിവുള്ള, ഇംപാക്കബിൾ അക്കാഡമിക്കൽ റെക്കോർഡ്സ് ഉള്ള, സർവോപരി വളരെ ബഹുമാന്യനായ ഡോക്ടർ മോഹനൻ കുന്നുമ്മൽ സർ. വി വെൽക്കം യു ടു ദിസ് പ്രോഗ്രാം സർ. അടുത്തതായി നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ മുഖ്യ പ്രഭാഷക, സേവ് സോയിൽ ഇനീഷ്യേറ്റീവിന്റെ ടെക്നിക്കൽ ലീഡ് മിസ് പ്രവീണ ശ്രീധർ. മാഡം കോൺഷ്യസ് പ്ലാനറ്റിന്റെ കൂടെ CEO ആണെന്ന് വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. യുണിസെഫിന്റെ ഫോർമർ കൺസൾട്ടന്റ് ആണ്. മാഡത്തെ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക് ഹൃദയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇന്നത്തെ നമ്മുടെ സ്പീക്കേഴ്സ് ഡോക്ടർ സുജിത് കുമാർ മല്ലപ്പള്ളി ആൻഡ് ഡോക്ടർ അരുന്ധതി. രണ്ടാളെയും ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇന്ന് ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ നിലവിൽ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നിരിക്കുന്ന, ഇപ്പോൾ എത്തിച്ചേരാൻ വേണ്ടി വെയിറ്റിംഗ് റൂമിലുള്ള നമ്മുടെ KGMOA തൃശ്ശൂരിൻ്റെ അംഗങ്ങളെയും KGMOAയുടെ അംഗങ്ങളെയും സംസ്ഥാന തലത്തിലുള്ള പല നേതാക്കന്മാരും മീറ്റിംഗിൽ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അവരെയും ഞാൻ ഈ മീറ്റിംഗിലേക്ക് ഹൃദയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. അടുത്തതായി പ്രസിഡൻഷ്യൽ സ്പീച്ചിന് ബഹുമാനിയായ ജില്ലാ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ഡോക്ടർ അസീന മേഡത്തെ ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു.
എത്രയും ആരാധ്യനായ അധ്യക്ഷൻ, കേഴ്സ് വൈസ് ചാൻസലർ, ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഗുരുസ്ഥാനീയനായ പ്രൊഫസർ ഡോക്ടർ മോഹനൻ സർ, വേദിയിലിരിക്കുന്ന KGMOA തൃശ്ശൂർ ജില്ലാ സെക്രട്ടറി ഡോക്ടർ വേണുഗോപാൽ, മിഡ് സോൺ വൈസ് പ്രസിഡന്റ് ഡോക്ടർ ജോ കുരുവിള, ട്രഷറർ ഡോക്ടർ ജിൽഷോ ജോർജ്, ഇന്നിവിടെ മുഖ്യപ്രഭാഷണത്തിന് എത്തുന്ന ശ്രീമതി പ്രവീണ ശ്രീധർ. ഈ വെബിനാറിൽ ശാസ്ത്രീയമായി പ്രബന്ധങ്ങൾ അവതരിപ്പിക്കുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രസംഗിക്കുന്ന ഡോക്ടർ സുജിത് KM, ഡോക്ടർ അരുന്ധതി, ഞങ്ങളെ കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട KGMOA അംഗങ്ങളെ, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട മുതിർന്ന KGMO അംഗങ്ങളെ, സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം, ഈ MBBS എന്ന ഡിഗ്രി ഒരു 5-5.5 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾക്ക് ഈ MBBS ഡിഗ്രി കിട്ടിക്കഴിയുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ശരീരത്തെ പറ്റി, ശരീരത്തിന്റെ അനാറ്റമി പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ഫിസിയോളജി, ബയോകെമിസ്ട്രി എല്ലാം പഠിക്കുന്നു. ഓരോ അവയവത്തെ പറ്റിയും നമ്മൾ വളരെ ഡീപ്പായിട്ട് പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അതിനപ്പുറം നമ്മുടെ ശരീരത്തിനെ ബാധിക്കുന്ന രോഗങ്ങളെ പറ്റി നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കുന്നു, രോഗാണുക്കളെ പറ്റി പഠിക്കുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ചികിത്സയെ, എന്ത് ചികിത്സ വേണം, മരുന്നുകളെ പറ്റി, ചികിത്സിക്കേണ്ട വിധത്തെ പറ്റി, മരുന്നുകളെ പറ്റി എല്ലാം നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ അവിടെ വിട്ടുപോകുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ പ്രകൃതിയും നമ്മുടെ ആരോഗ്യവും തമ്മിലുള്ള ബന്ധം. ഒരു നല്ല ആരോഗ്യത്തിന്, ഉത്തമ ശരീരത്തിന് നമ്മുടെ പ്രകൃതിയിൽ ശുദ്ധമായ വായു വേണം, ശുദ്ധമായ ഭക്ഷണം വേണം, സമീകൃതമായ ആഹാരം വേണം. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഈ പ്രകൃതിയെ സംരക്ഷിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു ബാധ്യത അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വളരെയധികമുള്ള ഒരു ചുമതല ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കുമുണ്ട്. പ്രകൃതിയെ സംരക്ഷിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ, സുരക്ഷിതമാക്കണമെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ഭാഗത്ത് നിന്ന് വളരെ നല്ല ഒരു ഇടപെടൽ ആവശ്യമാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെയാണ് ഈ കൊല്ലത്തെ വേൾഡ് ഹെൽത്ത് ഡേക്ക് മൈ പ്ലാനറ്റ് മൈ ഹെൽത്ത് എന്ന തീം തിരഞ്ഞെടുത്തത്. തീർത്തും ഉചിതമാണ്. പ്രകൃതിയിൽ സംഭവിക്കുന്ന ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മളുടെ ഹെൽത്തിനെ ബാധിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പ്രകൃതി ദുരന്തങ്ങൾ, ഫ്ലഡ്, അതുപോലത്തെ പ്രകൃതി ദുരന്തങ്ങൾ, ഇപ്പോൾ അടുത്ത് വന്നു പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന, നമ്മൾ കടന്നു പോകുന്ന പാൻഡമിക് ഇഷ്യൂസ് എല്ലാം മനുഷ്യന്റെ ജീവിതത്തെയും ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ ക്വാളിറ്റിയെയും ബാധിക്കുന്നു. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ആണ് തൃശ്ശൂർ KGMOA ഇന്നത്തെ ഈ വെബിനാർ ഈ വിഷയത്തെ കുറിച്ച് നമ്മളുടെ പ്രകൃതി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഭൂമി, നമ്മുടെ പ്ലാനറ്റ് നമ്മളിൽ ചെലുത്തുന്ന സ്വാധീനം, എത്രമാത്രം സ്വാധീനമാണ് നമ്മളിൽ ചെലുത്തുന്നത്. നമ്മളുടെ നല്ല ഹെൽത്തിന് നമ്മൾക്കും പ്രകൃതിക്ക് വേണ്ടി എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രകൃതിയിൽ നിന്ന് നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് കണ്ടുപഠിക്കേണ്ടത്, പ്രകൃതിയെ എങ്ങനെ സംരക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടണം എന്നത് ഏറ്റെടുത്ത് ഈ വെബിനാർ ഇന്നിവിടെ സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ വെബിനാറിൽ സംസാരിക്കുന്നവർ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളിലും രാജ്യാന്തര യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളിലും രാജ്യത്തെ തന്നെ വിവിധ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളിലും പഠിക്കുകയും അവരുടെ കഴിവ് തെളിയിക്കുകയും ശാസ്ത്രീയത്തിൽ ഊന്നിയിട്ടുള്ള അവരുടെ കഴിവുകൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ പ്രഭാഷണങ്ങൾ അവരുടെ അറിവുകൾ നമുക്ക് പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുവാനാണ്. അവരെ കിട്ടിയത്. അവരുടെ ഈ സാന്നിധ്യം ഈ വെബിനാറിനെ വളരെ ശോഭനമാക്കുന്നു എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് എൻ്റെ വിശ്വാസം. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ ഉദ്ഘാടകനായിട്ട് വന്നിട്ടുള്ളത് നമ്മളെ എല്ലാവരും പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട ആദരണീയനായ മോഹനൻ സാറാണ്. തൃശ്ശൂർ ജില്ലയ്ക്ക് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വിവിധ മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജുകളിൽ പഠിച്ച കുട്ടികൾക്ക് സാർ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഗുരു തുല്യനാണ്. ഇത്രയും നല്ല ഒരു പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റിയെ, ആദരണീയായ ഒരു പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി കൂടി നമ്മുടെ കൂടെയുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് സന്തോഷം പകരുന്നു. വളരെ സന്തോഷത്തോടെ നമുക്ക് ശരീരത്തിനപ്പുറത്തേക്കുള്ള ഒരു ആരോഗ്യം എന്ന വിഷയത്തെ പറ്റി ചിന്തിക്കുവാനും നമുക്ക് കേൾക്കുവാനും ഒരു സാഹചര്യം ഒരുക്കിയിട്ടുള്ള ഈ വെബിനാറിൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും പ്രയോജനപ്രദമാകുമെന്ന് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു നല്ല ദിവസം ആശംസിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം. ഉദ്ഘാടകനായ മോഹനൻ സാറിനെ, പ്രൊഫസർ ഡോക്ടർ മോഹനനെ ഉദ്ഘാടനത്തിന് വേണ്ടി ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ അവസാനിക്കുന്നു. ജയ് ഹിന്ദ്.
താങ്ക് യു ഡോക്ടർ ഹസീന. എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ വിനീതമായ നമസ്കാരം. ഇന്നത്തെ യോഗത്തിന്റെ അധ്യക്ഷ ഡോക്ടർ ഹസീനയാണ്. അതുപോലെ KGMOA മിഡ്സോണിന്റെ വൈസ് പ്രസിഡന്റ് എൻ്റെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട ഡോക്ടർ ജോ കുരുവിളയുടെ സാന്നിധ്യം ഇവിടെയുണ്ട്. സെക്രട്ടറി ഡോക്ടർ വേണുഗോപാലുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ട്രഷറർ ജിൽഷോ ഉണ്ട്. ഇന്ന് മുഖ്യപ്രഭാഷണം നടത്തുന്ന പ്രവീൺ ശ്രീധർ, അതുപോലെ സൗജിത് കുമാർ, പ്രൊഫസർ അരുന്ധതി, ഇവർക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ നമസ്കാരം. ഈ മീറ്റിംഗിൽ പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്തുന്ന രണ്ടുപേർ റേഡിയോളജിസ്റ്റുകളാണ്. ഞാനും റേഡിയോളജിസ്റ്റാണ്. അത് ഒരുപക്ഷെ ആക്സിഡന്റൽ ആയിരിക്കാം, പക്ഷെ എങ്കിലും അത് കൗതുകകരം എന്ന് ഞാൻ ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞു വെക്കുകയാണ്. ഒരുപക്ഷെ റേഡിയേഷന്റെ ഹസാർഡ്സിനെ കുറിച്ചുമൊക്കെ ഓർത്തുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് പറയുമായിരിക്കാം. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗ് നടത്തിയ KGMOA ഞാൻ മുക്തകണ്ഠം അഭിനന്ദിക്കുകയാണ്. കേരളത്തിന്റെ ആരോഗ്യ ചിത്രത്തിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാന പങ്കുവഹിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വിഭാഗത്തിന്റെ സംഘടനയാണ് KGMOA. ചരിത്രപരമായി തന്നെ കേരളത്തിന്റെ ആരോഗ്യ പരിപാലനത്തിൽ നിർണായകമായ ഇടപെടലുകൾ നടത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. കേരളത്തിന്റെ ആരോഗ്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് ഒരുപാട് പഠനങ്ങൾ നടന്നപ്പോൾ കേരള മോഡൽ ആരോഗ്യരംഗം എന്നൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. കേരള മോഡൽ ആരോഗ്യരംഗം തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തെ സെന്റർ ഫോർ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് സ്റ്റഡീസും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഒരുപാട് വിദേശ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളും ഒക്കെ കേരളത്തിന്റെ ആരോഗ്യ രംഗത്തിന്റെ സവിശേഷതയെക്കുറിച്ച് പഠനം നടത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് ഒരു പ്രത്യേകതരമായ അവസ്ഥയാണ് കേരളത്തിൽ. അതായത് പെർ ക്യാപിറ്റ ഇൻകം ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഏറ്റവും കുറവുള്ള, ലോകത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും കുറവുള്ള സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിലൊന്ന്. വരുമാനം കുറവാണ്, ന്യൂട്രീഷൻ അവൈലബിലിറ്റി കുറവാണ്. ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ആണെങ്കിലും ഇൻഫന്റ് മോർട്ടാലിറ്റിയോ മെറ്റേണൽ മോർട്ടാലിറ്റിയോ അതൊക്കെ, ലോഞ്ചിവിറ്റി ഓഫ് ലൈഫോ അതൊക്കെ അമേരിക്കയ്ക്കോ സ്കാൻഡിനേവിയൻ രാജ്യങ്ങൾക്കോ തുല്യം. കുറഞ്ഞ ചിലവ് കൊണ്ട്, കുറഞ്ഞ പണം കൊണ്ട് മികച്ച ആരോഗ്യം. പക്ഷെ അവിടെ ഒരു കാര്യം പ്രത്യേകം ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ മോർട്ടാലിറ്റി മാത്രമേ കുറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളൂ. മോർബിഡിറ്റി പാറ്റേൺ, രോഗാതുരത കേരളത്തിൽ വളരെ കൂടുതൽ തന്നെയാണ്. അത് UP-യെക്കാളും ഒക്കെ കൂടുതലുണ്ട്, ബീഹാറിനേക്കാളും ഒക്കെ കൂടുതലുണ്ട്. ഇതൊരു പ്രത്യേകതരമായ ഒരു അവസ്ഥയാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് പഠനം നടത്തിയ ആളുകൾ പറഞ്ഞത്, അത് ശരിയുമാണ്, കേരളത്തിലെ ഫീമെയിൽ ലിറ്ററസിയുമായിട്ട് ഇതിനെ ബന്ധപ്പെടുത്തി. കേരളത്തിലെ വീടുകളിൽ ലിറ്ററേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള, കാര്യവിവരമുള്ള സ്ത്രീകൾ, അത് അമ്മമാരാകാം, സഹോദരിമാരാകാം, അവരുണ്ടെന്നും അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഈ രോഗാതുരനായ ഒരു മലയാളിക്ക് രോഗം കൂടുതലാകുന്നു എന്ന് തിരിച്ചറിയാൻ ഈ അമ്മമാർക്കും സഹോദരിമാർക്കും കഴിയുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത് അതൊരു വലിയൊരു കണ്ടെത്തലാണ്. പക്ഷെ അതിനുശേഷമുള്ളൊരു കാര്യമുണ്ട്. ഇങ്ങനെ കണ്ടെത്തിയിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ലല്ലോ. ഈ കണ്ടെത്തിയ ആളുകളെ ആശുപത്രിയിൽ കൊണ്ടുപോകാനും ഡോക്ടർമാരുടെ അടുത്ത് കൊണ്ടുപോകാൻ ഇവർക്കറിയാം. പക്ഷെ ആശുപത്രിയും ഡോക്ടർമാരും ഉണ്ടാവണ്ടേ? അവിടെയാണ് കേരളത്തിന്റെ മികച്ച ആരോഗ്യ പരിപാലന സംവിധാനത്തിന്റെ പ്രാധാന്യം കാണുന്നത്. തൊട്ടടുത്ത് ഒരു പ്രൈമറി ഹെൽത്ത് സെന്റർ ഉണ്ടാവും, തൊട്ടടുത്ത് ഒരു താലൂക്ക് ആശുപത്രി ഉണ്ടാവും, അവിടെ KGMOയുടെ മെമ്പർമാരായ ഡോക്ടർമാരുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ ഇടപെടൽ കാരണം കേരളത്തിന്റെ മോർട്ടാലിറ്റി കുറയ്ക്കാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞു. പക്ഷെ മോർബിഡിറ്റി കുറയ്ക്കാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കഴിയില്ല. കാരണം പെർ ക്യാപിറ്റ ഇൻകം കുറവാണ്. ഇവിടെ സാധനങ്ങളുടെ അവൈലബിലിറ്റി കുറവാണ്, ഫുഡ് അവൈലബിലിറ്റി കുറവാണ്. അപ്പോ മോർബിഡിറ്റി തുടരുകയും മോർട്ടാലിറ്റി തടയുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ഫോഴ്സ് എന്ന നിലയിൽ നിൽക്കുന്ന KGMOയെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം പക്ഷെ കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഈ കേരള മോഡലിന് തുടരാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് പഠനങ്ങൾ കണ്ടെത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. കേരളത്തിന്റെ മൊത്തത്തിലുള്ള ആരോഗ്യ രംഗം നന്നായിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും നമുക്ക് ഈ ഇപ്പോൾ ഉള്ള ഇൻഫന്റ് മോർട്ടാലിറ്റിയുടെ കുറവ്, ഇപ്പോൾ കുറവുള്ള മെറ്റേണൽ മോർട്ടാലിറ്റിയുടെ കുറവ്, ലോഞ്ചിവിറ്റി, ഇക്കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പിടിച്ചു നിർത്താൻ കഴിയുമോ എന്ന് സംശയമുണ്ട്. അപ്പോ ബാക്കി കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ പുറമേയുള്ള, അതായത് ആരോഗ്യ ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ഡോക്ടർമാർ ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് പുറത്തുള്ള ശുദ്ധജലത്തിന്റെ അവൈലബിലിറ്റി, ശുദ്ധവായുവിന്റെ അവൈലബിലിറ്റി, ആവശ്യത്തിന് ഭക്ഷണത്തിന്റെ അവൈലബിലിറ്റി, ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഉറപ്പാകണം. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ മെഡിക്കൽ സംഘടനകളുടെ മീറ്റിങ്ങുകളിൽ നമ്മൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യാറുള്ളത് പുതിയ ചികിത്സയെക്കുറിച്ച്, പുതിയ മരുന്നിനെ കുറിച്ച്, പുതിയ സർജറിയെ കുറിച്ചാണ്. പക്ഷെ നിങ്ങൾ അതിൽ നിന്ന് പുറത്തിറങ്ങി പ്രകൃതിയുടെ ആരോഗ്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ചും നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹത്തിന്റെ ആരോഗ്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ചും ഒക്കെ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യാൻ തയ്യാറായി എന്നുള്ളതൊരു വലിയൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളെ അഭിനന്ദിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇനി ലോകാരോഗ്യ സംഘടന എന്താണ് ഇപ്പൊ പറയുന്നത്? ലോകാരോഗ്യ സംഘടന അങ്ങനെ പറയേണ്ടി വന്നു. വൺ പ്ലാനറ്റ്, അവർ പ്ലാനറ്റ് ആൻഡ് അവർ ഹെൽത്ത്. നമ്മുടെ ഗ്രഹം, അത് ഭൂമിയാണ്, അതിന്റെ ആരോഗ്യം നമ്മുടെ ആരോഗ്യവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ലോകാരോഗ്യ സംഘടന ഇത് പറയാൻ കാരണം കോവിഡാണ്. കോവിഡ് വന്നപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കി പഞ്ചനക്ഷത്ര ആശുപത്രികൾ കെട്ടി നമ്മുടെ രോഗത്തെ പൂർണ്ണമായി ചികിത്സിക്കാമെന്ന വ്യാമോഹം തകർന്നു തരിപ്പണമായിരിക്കുന്നു. വളരെ വളരെ ചെറിയ ഒരു വൈറസിന് ഭൂമിയെ മുഴുവൻ അവർ പ്ലാനറ്റിനെ മുഴുവൻ ചലഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയുമെന്ന് കഴിഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ അവർ പ്ലാനറ്റിനെ കരുതലോടെ നമുക്ക് സംരക്ഷിക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. വുഹാനിലെ വെറ്റ് മാർക്കറ്റിലെ പങ്കോളിയനോ വവ്വാലോ എന്താന്ന് നമുക്കറിയില്ല, ഏതോ ഒരു മൃഗത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ചില വൈറസുകൾ പുറത്തിറങ്ങി. ചിലർ പറയുന്നത് അവിടുത്തെ ഗുഹയിൽ സമാധാനത്തോടെ കഴിഞ്ഞിരുന്ന വവ്വാലുകളെ പുറത്തിറക്കി പരീക്ഷിച്ചപ്പോൾ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് വഴുതിപ്പോയതാണ്. എന്തുമാകട്ടെ, ആ വൈറസുകൾക്ക് ഇങ്ങ് തൃശ്ശൂരിൽ ആളുകളെ കൊല്ലാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ എന്തുമാത്രം ഭീഷണിയിലാണ് നമ്മൾ കഴിയുന്നത് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ തിരിച്ചറിയണം. അങ്ങ് കോഴിക്കോട് ഏതാനും വവ്വാലുകളെ ആരോ തൊട്ടു എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് 19 പേർക്ക് നിപ്പ വന്നു. 17 പേരും മരിച്ചുപോയി എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. നമ്മുടെയൊക്കെ ഭാഗ്യം കൊണ്ട് അത് പടർന്നിട്ടില്ല എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു നിമിഷം നമ്മൾക്ക് ദൗർഭാഗ്യം വരികയാണെങ്കിൽ അവ പടരാം. അപ്പൊ അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ അവസ്ഥ. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ പ്ലാനറ്റിന്റെ ഹെൽത്തിനെ കുറിച്ച് നമ്മൾ വളരെയധികം ആശങ്കാകുലരായിരിക്കുന്നത്. 2015 സെന്റർ ഫോർ ഡിസീസ് കൺട്രോൾ CDC ഒരു പ്രഖ്യാപനം നടത്തി. ഇനി ലോകം മുഴുവൻ വൺ ഹെൽത്ത് എന്ന ഒരു ദിനം ആചരിക്കണം. കാരണം ദ ഹെൽത്ത് ഓഫ് അനിമൽ, ഹെൽത്ത് ഓഫ് ദി എൻവയോൺമെന്റ്, ദ ഹെൽത്ത് ഓഫ് ഫോറസ്റ്റ് are intimately related to human health, and therefore we have to celebrate one health encompassing all these components. അങ്ങനെ 2015 നവംബർ 3 സെന്റർ ഫോർ ഡിസീസ് കൺട്രോൾ, അമേരിക്കയിലെ ഡിസീസ് കൺട്രോളിന്റെ പരമോന്നത സ്ഥാപനം പറയുകയും നമ്മളൊക്കെ ആചരിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. ഇപ്പോ വൺ ഹെൽത്ത് ഇപ്പൊ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ വൺ ഹെൽത്തിന്റെ ഒരു സെന്റർ വരികയാണ്. യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയും വെറ്റിനറി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയും ചേർന്നുകൊണ്ട് വൺ ഹെൽത്ത് കൺസെപ്റ്റ് വരികയാണ്. ബാറ്റുകളിലുള്ള വവ്വാലുകളിലുള്ള ഈ വൈറസുകൾ വെറ്റിനറി കോളേജുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടപ്പോൾ അവർ പറയുന്നത് 100 കണക്കിന് ഇത്തരം വൈറസുകൾ നമ്മുടെ വവ്വാലുകളിൽ ഉണ്ടെന്നാണ്. അവയിൽ പലതും മനുഷ്യരാശിക്ക് ഗുരുതരമായ പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്നതാണ്. പക്ഷെ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് അത് സംഭവിക്കാത്തത്? കാരണം വവ്വാൽ അവന്റെ എൻവയോൺമെന്റിൽ കഴിയുന്നു, നമ്മൾ അവനെ ഡിസ്റ്റർബ് ചെയ്യരുത്. വവ്വാലിലെ വൈറസിന് വവ്വാലിനെ കൊല്ലാൻ പറ്റില്ല, കാരണം അവർ തമ്മിൽ there is a symbiosis, they are living comfortably. But then അവന്റെ ആവാസ വ്യവസ്ഥയെ നമ്മൾ നശിപ്പിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ he can come out any day, and then the virus may be shedded, and that is what happened in Perambra. The virus shedding can happen. Appo we have to protect our environment so that we will not disturb that. But this is a new concept and everybody is happy about the new concept. But then I am bringing your attention to Indian Parliament. Indian Parliament inde entrance il adile chumaril oru ശ്ലോകം എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആ ശ്ലോകം വസുധൈവ കുടുംബകം എന്നാണ്. അത് ആയിരക്കണക്കിന് വർഷങ്ങൾക്ക് മുമ്പ് ഇന്ത്യയിലെ മഹാ ഉപനിഷത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഒരു വാക്കിനെ ഇന്ത്യൻ പാർലമെന്റിൽ അന്ന് ആരോ എഴുതി വെച്ചതാണ്. അത് പറയുന്നത് ദ ഹോൾ യൂണിവേഴ്സ് വസുധൈവ, ഈ ഭൂമി മുഴുവൻ ഒരു കുടുംബമാണ് എന്നാണ്. അതാണ് ഈ വൺ ഹെൽത്ത് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത്. ഈ ഭൂമിയിലെ പുഴകളും മലകളും കാടും മൃഗങ്ങളും ഞാനും നിങ്ങളുമൊക്കെ ഒരു കുടുംബമാണ് എന്ന് എത്രയോ സഹസ്രാബ്ദങ്ങൾക്ക് മുമ്പ് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്ന ഒരു സംസ്കാരത്തിന്റെ പിന്തുടർച്ചക്കാരാണ് നമ്മൾ. പറഞ്ഞു കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്, വളരെ പണ്ടൊക്കെ തന്നെ കർഷകൻ ഭൂമിയിൽ ഉഴാൻ പോകുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് ഭൂമിയെ ഉപദ്രവിക്കാൻ എന്ന് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറയാം, ഭൂമിക്ക് മാന്താൻ പോകുമ്പോൾ പെർമിഷൻ വാങ്ങുമായിരുന്നു. നമ്മൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്, ഒരു മരം മുറിക്കുന്നതിന് മുമ്പേ മരത്തിനോട് ചോദിക്കുമായിരുന്നു ഞാൻ മുറിക്കട്ടെ എന്ന്. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും മരം ഒന്നും പറയില്ലായിരിക്കും, പക്ഷെ ആ ഒരു രീതി ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. നമ്മുടെയൊക്കെ നാട്ടിൽ കാവുകൾ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. കാവുകൾ പൂജിക്കാനുള്ളതല്ല, കാവുകൾ വാസ്തവത്തിൽ ആ മരങ്ങളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാനായി. ഈ കാവുകളോട് ചേർന്ന് കുളങ്ങളുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, പുഴകളുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, പുഴയിൽ വെള്ളമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇന്ന് ഈ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു പഠനത്തിൽ പറയുകയാണ്, ഓരോ മിനിറ്റിലും 13 പേർ ലോകത്തെവിടെയെങ്കിലും മരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് നല്ല വായു കിട്ടാത്തതുകൊണ്ട്, ശ്വാസം കിട്ടാത്തതുകൊണ്ട്. നമ്മളൊക്കെ ശ്വസിക്കുന്ന വായു മലിനമാണ്. 90% ലോകത്തെ 90% വായുവും എയർ ഈസ് പൊള്യൂട്ടഡ്, ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വാട്ട് വി ആർ ലിവിങ് ഓൺ. അപ്പോ ഈ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പൊ എയർ ഈസ് പൊള്യൂട്ടഡ്, വാട്ടർ ഈസ് പൊള്യൂട്ടഡ്, ആൻഡ് ഇതിനെയൊക്കെ കൂട്ടം നിർത്തുന്ന സോയിൽ ഈസ് പൊള്യൂട്ടഡ്. അതാണ്. അപ്പൊ സോയിലിനെ എങ്ങനെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യാം എന്നൊരു കാര്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഡോക്ടർമാർ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണോ എന്ന് പലരും ചോദിക്കാം. ഡോക്ടർമാരല്ലാതെ ആരാണ് ഇത് ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുക? രോഗം വന്നിട്ട് മൂർച്ഛിച്ചതിന് ശേഷം ചികിത്സിക്കുന്ന പണിയല്ല ഡോക്ടറുടേത്. ഡോക്ടറുടെ പണി കൃത്യമായിട്ടും രോഗം വരാതിരിക്കലാണ്, രോഗം വരാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യം കണ്ടെത്തലാണ്, അത് പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കലാണ്. അതാണ് KGMOA ഇവിടെ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്ന് എനിക്ക് ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ പറയാതിരിക്കാൻ വയ്യ. അതിന് ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളെ അഭിനന്ദിക്കുകയാണ്. മഹാത്മാഗാന്ധി പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു വാക്കുണ്ട്, നമ്മൾ ആരും തന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ ഈ ഭൂമിയിലെ സ്വത്തിന്റെ ഉടമസ്ഥരല്ല, നമ്മൾ വെറും കസ്റ്റോഡിയന്മാര് മാത്രമാണ്. ഈ ഭൂമിയിൽ ഉള്ള എല്ലാ സ്വത്തിന്റെയും ഉടമ ഞാനല്ല, മറിച്ച് എന്റെ പുത്രന്റെയോ പൗത്രന്റെ പൗത്രന്റെയോ അവർക്ക് കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി നമ്മൾ കൈവശം വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കസ്റ്റോഡിയൻ ആണെന്ന് മാത്രമാണ്. ഇതൊരു ഹ്യൂജ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ്. ഇപ്പം അതിൽ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കപ്പെടുന്നത് വി ഹാവ് നോ റൈറ്റ് ടു destroy the environment. You are not an owner of the environment, you are just a custodian of a environment. Just imagine, custodian destroys, and so that the future generation will not have anything. What right we have? അപ്പോൾ ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറയാൻ ലോകാരോഗ്യ സംഘടനയ്ക്ക് ഇപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും കഴിഞ്ഞെങ്കിൽ അത് വളരെ സന്തോഷം. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഈ ഒരു വിഷയത്തിൽ ശാസ്ത്രീയമായ പഠനങ്ങളും ചർച്ചകൾക്കും മുൻപിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നത് ഡോക്ടർമാരാകണം. അക്കാര്യത്തിൽ യാതൊരു സംശയവുമില്ല. ഇതിന് ഒന്നുകൂടെ നിങ്ങളെ ഓരോരുത്തരെയും അഭിനന്ദിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. ഈ മീറ്റിംഗ് ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്തതായി നിങ്ങളുടെയൊക്കെ അനുവാദത്തോടു കൂടി പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
മോഹനൻ സാറ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ഉദ്ഘാടന പ്രസംഗത്തില് നമ്മളെ അഭിനന്ദിച്ചു. ഒപ്പം തന്നെ വലിയൊരു ഉത്തരവാദിത്വം നമ്മളെ ഏൽപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. മോർട്ടാലിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്നും നമ്മുടെ ഓറിയന്റേഷൻ മോർബിഡിറ്റിയിലേക്കും വെൽബീയിങ്ങിലേക്കും തിരിയണമെന്നും പ്രകൃതി ആരോഗ്യത്തിന്റെ ഒരു അവിഭാജ്യ ഘടകമാണെന്നും അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞു വെച്ചു. താങ്ക് യു സർ, താങ്ക്സ് അ ലോട്ട്. അടുത്തതായി നമ്മുടെ മുഖ്യ പ്രഭാഷക മിസ് പ്രവീണ ശ്രീധർ, കോൺഷ്യസ് പ്ലാനറ്റിന്റെ ടെക്നിക്കൽ ലീഡ്. മാഡം സ്റ്റാൻഫോർഡ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്നും MS എൻവറോൺമെന്റൽ സയൻസ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ആളാണ്. We welcome you, ma'am. Miss Praveena Sridhar, ma'am, floor is all yours.
Thank you. Namaskaram. Can you all hear me? Okay, am I audible? Okay, I assume it's audible then.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. It was great to listen to Dr. Mohan sir, ma'am, and Dr. Venugopal set the context. In a group of doctors here, I don't think I have what must I say, the credentials to be making propounding statements. But I'm here to share with you the common thing that all of us really want: healthy human beings, and therefore healthy soil, right? Before I get into talking a little bit more about the Save Soil movement, I would like to concur that, like what Dr. Mohan said, the role of doctors is not just to treat, but also to help people prevent from falling sick. And the fact that we as human beings of this generation are custodians of natural wealth, which has to be cared for and left in a better form than what we have been, endowed with as a generation. Having said this, I think in every way, ISHA's Save Soil movement and the history of the Save Soil movement has been in line with this. And he was also talking about the air pollution, the water pollution, the soil, everything is polluted, and therefore it reflects in the human health. Can't agree anymore than what he has just said. One thing we would like to, one may want to reflect upon is the air, the soils, air, the water, all of that. One thing that actually has power on the quality of all of these soil. Yeah, it's soils which are the basis of most of the water that flows in a country like India. Because we are not any glacier-fed country like the European nations. We are a country which is fed by monsoons, and the monsoons, especially the south of India, we don't see any rain from glaciers or any rivers flowing from glaciers. The rivers flow because of the rains, the monsoons, and the water that is held in the soil and which is then let out into the rivers, right? And soils play a very important role, not just in terms of having the waters flow through the year, but also the quality of water. Soil carries what it has in it. Like, it depends on what you do on your agricultural lands, that it actually gets leached onto the water resources, and then the water that flows through has the quality that the soil has, right? Similarly, if the soil is really healthy, they say that the soil can actually absorb most of the pollutants, most of the carbon dioxide of the air and purify the air. It's we have 30% of earth, which is actually a natural air purifier, which actually can absorb all the things if it were healthy. So agreed that all the natural resources are to be kept in a particular way. But I would like to take a little bit of a moment here to reflect on what we have been doing through the Save Soil movement and how it beautifully ties into one health and a healthy planet, healthy planet and healthy human beings as a theme, So ISHA as an organization, from early 90s, we have been working with farmers, because we know farmers are our annadatas. Like, everybody needs food, and the food comes from what the farmer does on the land. And we have been trying to work with farmers to ensure that the farmer economics get better because the farmer land ecology gets better. Yeah. So the discourse to the farmers has been that your economics will improve if you care well for your soil, if you care well for your water resources, and you do farming in a very sustainable manner. And it started off from then. Like, and in Tamil Nadu and in Karnataka, we reached out to 1.25 lakh farmers through agroforestry and also through, natural farming methods, which actually has improved the farmer economics from 3 to 8% of what they were earning. And now this has taken a shape of a worldwide movement, a global movement, that is Save Soil, in which Sadhguru is riding his motorcycle at 65 across 30,000 kilometers through 100 days through more than 25 countries, right? The point that he's trying to make here is that soil is fundamental to any and every health of the planet. And this is reckoning across board, like people from across World Food Program, Food and Agriculture Organization, and to some extent even WHO are kind of trying to see the point. And they have been making this point forever. But now with this whole movement, it's getting a different kind of a push visibility, soil as a matter. And this in many ways is going to change the narrative of the whole world with respect to health, with respect to planetary health, human health, with respect to overall ecological well-being, that if soils are well, then most probably all health around the planet, like doctor was saying, it's not just our health, it's also the animals, it's also the biodiversity in the soil, right? All of it is taken care of. And the uniqueness of any movement that is started by Sadhguru is that his ability to bring people together. And I think as doctors, you guys never differentiate between a corrupt politician and a good politician, a rich person, a poor person. You just treat people, right, for what they are, whatever ailments they're going through. In many ways, what Sadhguru's becoming is a soil doctor, trying to say that soils need to be healthy. And it doesn't matter who you are, all of us, let's come together and ensure that soil is healthy, right? And how do we make the soils healthy? Like Sir was talking about certain, ailments, and like how the pandemic has affected the overall health, and how it's also reflected in the morbidity. And to some extent, I understood that Kerala, in many ways, is very good with respect to healthcare, especially the government healthcare, as good as the Scandinavians, isn't it? So for it to continue, it's very important there is focus also outside of health of the human beings or the healthcare system. And that's where the nature comes into play. So in many ways, what Sadhguru is trying to say is, it's necessary that the soils are healthy. And this messaging is not new. It's not innovative. Soils need to be healthy is a messaging that's happening for more than 3 decades. There are many problems soils across the world. Like, in Asia, you see fertilizer-based pollution that happens in most of the agricultural lands. In Latin America, you would see that soils are degrading because there is no care for it, and people are continuously going on deforesting at a very high pace and just leaving the soil which is used fallow. In the Middle East, you see that the soils are basically desertified by themselves. Like, that's a poor natural material itself. So there are various problems of soils. Like, if you were to look at soils across the regions a little closely, you will see that it's mounted with complex problems, right? But the good thing about the Safe Soil movement, or the innovative nature of the Safe Soil movement, is that it's a single point focus, saying that if you can bring, around 3 to 6% of soil organic matter back into the soil, then the soil in many ways will be able to rejuvenate itself. It will have the ability to repair itself. So that's a single point focus. And because of this single point focus, everybody is able to come on board. Bureaucrats, industry, farmers, everyone is ready to come on board because of it. So why I'm presenting here, as you know, to all of you about what this movement is about. Like I was just looking up, you know, of what's happening to Kerala soil. There are studies in Kerala soil saying that how monoculture plantations are less healthy and productive compared to natural forests, right? And there are also studies which are showing that the quality of certain tribal communities in Kerala as malnourishment that happens in the communities, and there is a lot of infant mortality in a very particular community in Attapadi, right? So all of these things in some way tied to soil. And if the organic matter in the soil were to be brought back to 3 to 6%, it's going to be a very good starting point to solve the problems of soil. And when one says 3 to 6% of organic matter in soil, what that means is that there will be a lot of efforts needed for different types of soils for that 3 to 6% to come back. But once it is back, we are on a right path. We are on a right path to leave the soils of Kerala in the better quality than what we as a generation receive for the next generation to come. So this is the overall Save Soil Movement's agenda. And we are more than happy for having given us the opportunity to present here and share what we are doing as a movement. And we would request you all to, I'm sure all of you are people who have very little sleep, given that you're doctors and working all the time. Spread the word. And if you guys can, you know, communicate about the movement, and in whichever way possible, if you guys are on any of these social media or just among your peers, and tell them to support us, that'll be great. Namaskar.
പ്രവീണ മേഡം വളരെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് മുന്നിൽ പ്രകൃതിയുടെ പ്രാധാന്യവും സേവ് സോയിൽ മൂവ്മെന്റ് എന്താണെന്നുള്ളതും അവതരിപ്പിച്ചു. നമ്മുടെ ബ്രെയിൻ സ്റ്റോമിങ്ങിലും സേവ് സോയിൽ വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. ഒപ്പം തന്നെ പ്രകൃതിയുടെ ഒരു റീക്രിയേഷൻ, ഇപ്പോൾ വാട്ട് വി ആർ ലൂസിങ് വി ഹാവ് ടു ഗെയിൻ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു അഭിപ്രായം മുന്നോട്ട് വന്നിരുന്നു. പ്രസ്തുത അഭിപ്രായം KGMOയുടെ ജില്ലാ കമ്മിറ്റി ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുകയും അത് പ്രകാരം നമ്മൾ തണൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാം ഇന്ന് മുന്നോട്ട് വയ്ക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ബഹുമാന്യനായ മിഡ്സോൺ വൈസ് പ്രസിഡന്റ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ തണൽ പ്രോഗ്രാമിന്റെ അനൗൺസ്മെന്റും ഉദ്ഘാടന പ്രസംഗവും ഇപ്പം നടത്തും. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൽ നിന്നും തണൽ കോർഡിനേറ്റേഴ്സ് ആദ്യത്തെ മരത്തായി കൈപ്പറ്റിക്കൊണ്ട് പ്രസ്തുത ചടങ്ങ് ഉദ്ഘാടനത്തിലേക്ക് നമുക്ക് കടക്കാം. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു.
Respected Vice Chancellor, KUHS Dr. Mohanan Kundumel, KGMOA Thrissur President Dr. V.I. Asina, Secretary Dr. Venugopal, Srimati Pravina Sridhar, dignitaries from ISHA Foundation, guests, speakers, and my dear friends on Zoom platform. April 7 is celebrated every year as World Health Day. This year, the theme is Our Planet, Our Health. Upholding this theme, Thrissur KGMOA has come out with an innovative contest called Tunnel 2020. Tunnel means shade or shelter. Life on Earth is sustained by plants, by harnessing or harvesting the energy of the sun and providing oxygen to breathe. Environmental degradation due to deforestation is a major problem the world over, and we face its consequences day in and day out. In this scenario, a contest to plant fruit trees and nurture it was envisaged by KGMOA Thrissur, and it culminated in Tunnel 2022. We have seen people plant trees on occasions, and if you go back a year later, you'll find most of them are not there. So, hence, this contest does not only applies to planting trees, but in the nurturing of trees for a period of more than 6 months. I broadly chalk out the rules of this contest. This is open to all permanent government employees working in the health sector. 2, it is mandatory all contestants plant a fruit tree in a specified location, preferably in a public space, and nurture it. At the end of 3 and 6 months, the progress of these saplings has to be updated, and on the basis, prizes will be awarded. The first 3 will get cash prizes and mementos, and the rest is on the. This contest will end when the starting of this contest, or the last date for this contest to be started, is April the 17th by 5 p.m. I wish all the contestants all the best and declare this competition open. And to commemorate this opening, unlike lamping a light, we are going to give a tree to the coordinators of this program. I would ask Dr. Jasmine and Dr. come on the stage to receive the tree.
Coordinators of tunnel programs. Dr. Josmi, Dr. Geeta, and Dr. Anne Mary, please receive the tree. കടക്കുകയാണ്. ശാസ്ത്രീയ അവതരണത്തിന്റെ മോഡറേറ്റർ ഡോക്ടർ ടോണി ഫെർണാണ്ടസ് ആണ്. അദ്ദേഹം തൃശ്ശൂർ KGMOA ജോയിന്റ് സെക്രട്ടറിയും താലൂക്ക് ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ചാലക്കുടിയിലെ സർജനുമാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ വേദിയിലേക്ക് ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു. ഒരു 30 സെക്കൻഡ്സിന്റെ ബ്രേക്ക് ഉണ്ട്. ഈ ടെക്നിക്കലി ഇതൊന്ന് റീഅറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. പ്ലീസ് ടോളറേറ്റ് വിത്ത് us. ഒന്ന്
നമ്മൾ സയന്റിഫിക് സെഷൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാണ്. A warm good evening to all. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our eminent speakers. Dr. Sujit Kumar Mallapalli. He is currently working as consultant oncologist in Apollo Proton Cancer Care Center, Chennai. He completed his MD radiotherapy from AIMS and EM medical oncology from Tata Memorial Hospital. He passionately pursues immuno-oncology, preventive oncology, and he also believes in optimum supportive care for good quality of life in cancer patients. Sir, may I call upon you to deliver a few words on the topic, Health and Planet, the Invisible Link.
Shall I share the screen? I have to share the screens. Host disabled എന്ന് പറയണം. ഒന്ന് screen sharing ഒന്ന് enable ചെയ്യണം. എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. Respected Dr. Mohan sir, Dr. Venugopal, Adhyaksha madam, and Ms. Praveena. ഈ ഒരു സെഷനെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് it's around 4 days back we discussed with Dr. Venugopal. അപ്പോൾ this was the topic that I suggested, health and planet, the invisible link. പക്ഷേ അതിനെപ്പറ്റി കൂടുതൽ വായിക്കുമ്പോഴും അതിന്റെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ അറിയുമ്പോഴും actually the link is not invisible, it's a visible link. The only thing is that we don't really see it in the way it is. So thank you all of you to joining this session on health and planet. As we know, this year's WHO day is on our planet and our health. You should notice that our planet, they have kept us first, followed by our health, because as doctors we are always concerned about health, how to treat diseases. Many times, especially in, I really appreciate, I also was working in primary health center before. So we have an aptitude regarding prevention of diseases also. But most of the time our impact or our work is on treatment of diseases. So this year when WHO has decided to bring the concept of planet into our area, I think definitely it is a need of the hour, and that might be the reason we have thought about this. So I'll go to the presentation. Yeah, so this is many years back. Many years back, you can see this advertisement. It's very fancy. We will feel it's so funny, but many of our advertisements that we have in current times in the TV also looks like this. So what it says is DDT is good for me, and all the animals and all the animals, the lady, everyone is singing the song, and you can see they have shown different aspects, good for fruits, good for steers, good for home, even the babies, and good for dairy, so etc. And so we all know what happened later when we came to know that DDT works as a persistent persistent pollutant in the environment and causes a lot of adverse effects for the every aspect of the life. So this is what is happening, and so what we need to understand is that as Bill Cosby said, every closed eye is not sleeping and every open eye is not seeing. So I mean, there are many things that is happening around us, and we know we are seeing them, but we are not understanding what is happening. So I hope this session that I am going to have for next 30 minutes will help us to realize, and many of the things may be known for you, but I'm just putting the stress again on the same topic because of this peculiarity, and because we are all here to understand how is our environment impacting our health. So before I start my presentation, I would like to say that these are all the articles and the different programs I have gone through to prepare this presentation. I am basically an oncologist. As Mohan sir said, I was a radiation oncologist. I was not a radiologist, but yes, I was working as a radiation oncologist before, and then after doing my DM, I am currently working as a medical oncologist. So I cannot claim that I am an expert in this subject. As all of you, I am also interested to know. I understand the impact, but I wanted to know more about it. And as you see my slides, you will understand there are so many simple things which can help us to know more about environment and health. So these are the different, I have all the PDFs of all these programs, and anyone who is interested can contact me. I will be happy to share the details. So as we all know, health is more than absence of illness or disease, and it includes physical, mental, social, spiritual well-being of people. So we all know this definition. We have read this in our park in SPM, and most of the time it's not true for us because we are also working many times to, especially for, except for the Dr. Venugopal and other physicians who are in the mental health field, most of the time our treatments are taking care of the physical aspect of the health. So health is definitely not more than, is definitely more than absence of illness or disease, and it's also affected by social, economic, environmental factors, as well as individual behaviors and heredity. So this definition we all know. Again, this is a graphical representation of what I have said. There is a social angle, there is an environmental angle, and there is an economic angle, which decides the health and well-being of our patients and ourselves. So why are we interested in knowing the impact of planet on health? So these are the different statistics that I would like to provide you. So it is said that unhealthy environmental factors result in 1/4 of the global burden of death and diseases. Both mortality and morbidity of diseases is caused by unhealthy environmental factors in about 25% of the time. It is also seen that 80% of the diseases and injury, the WHO notices that it is because of environmental or occupational factor. In 2009, there was a Lancet Commission on Climate Change, and it called this aspect of environmental influence on health as the greatest threat to global health of 21st century. That means unhealthy environmental factors are the greatest threat to the global health in this century. So this is a graphical explanation of what I was trying to tell. So when there is a climate change, you see climate can have natural variability, and it can also be changed because of human activities. So what can happen? There can be melting of snow and ice, acidification of oceans, rise in sea levels, and change in water cycle, etc. It can cause droughts, floods. In Kerala, we know every year now we are facing, especially in South Kerala, we are facing floods, we are facing landslides, and we have, all of us have gone through, either in our family or as a doctor, we have gone through the impact of what floods can cause. So the global environmental factors include pollution, migration of population, changes in land use and urbanization, and the individual vulnerability will include the personal characteristic of, like, children and elderly are more vulnerable. People with immunocompromised state like cancers, or people who have undergone transplants, they are vulnerable. The people who are unstable because of economic reasons, they are vulnerable. So these are all the different factors that can actually potentiate the health problems. So what are the different health problems that we can see? It can be because of indirect pressure, or it can be because of direct pressure. The direct pressure includes the changes in temperature, the ultraviolet rays, humidity, etc., and it can cause skin diseases. We'll come to the details later, but the indirect pressure, which includes is vector-borne zoonotic diseases, cardiovascular diseases, respiratory disease, and GI disease. So as I will come to the detail slides in the next few slides, I will go through the different systems of health that is affected by environment. But this is in a broad way what climate change can do to us. So again, this is again a pictorial expression of what I have spoken. There is biodiversity, there is desertification, and there is climate change. These are the different aspects of global ecosystem that can affect the people. Apart from the vulnerable nature because of the age, sex, and hereditary factors, these definitely have, this is basically, we are not living alone, as Dr. Mohan sir said. We cannot survive alone as a human being in this planet. We are interconnected to the planet in terms of the other life forms. Maybe it can be plants or animals. So the global ecosystem includes not only us, but also the different climate changes and these aspects. So this is again a flow chart which you can see. Apart from climate change, the ozone depletion, which many of us know that because of ozone depletion, there is increased ultraviolet rays, and which can cause skin cancers. and other skin problems, and land degradation, which is the main focus, as Ms. Praveena ma'am was saying, that there is land degradation, there is the organic content of soil is much less than the 3% that is advised, and that can affect the agro ecosystem productivity, which can lead on to conflict, which can affect the human health. Similarly, because of climate change, diverse pathways, as I have shown you, can cause human health changes. And when there is a loss of biodiversity, as you all know, biodiversity, there are a lot of species, more than 1,000 and 10,000 of species that we are losing every year because of improper practices, especially from the human side, that happens. So when there is biodiversity loss and ecosystem function loss, there can be declines in phenotypic genetic materials and diverse goods, which can again affect the human health. Again, there is this issue of freshwater decline. We have all suffered what happened during flood, and all the people who live near the sea, they are all very much concerned when there is a flood or there is something like tsunami, when not only the immediate impact of that flood, not only the physical impact of flood, but the whole system changes because of the changes in the water quantity and safety. So these are all different factors. So as we work in our OPDs, we may not sense these things, but the patient who come to us, if we ask in detail about their personal history and where they are coming and their occupation history, we'll understand somewhere these all things have had an impact on their health. Yeah, so again, so what are the different health impacts, which I was saying? The health impacts can be direct exposure related, like sunlight, there is a heat stroke, etc. It can be indirect exposures because of the change in food quality, because of the disease vectors. As Mohan sir was saying, the interference of human beings into the ecosystem of vectors like bats and the wild animals have caused outbreak of different vector-borne diseases, which many times have caused a lot of human loss in terms of health and in terms of life. So again, that is an indirect exposure because of deforestation, because of so many other reasons. The human beings are getting into the ecosystem of the wild animals and creating the health impact. Again, there can be changes in social disruption. As we know, because of poor soil health, there has been a lot of suicide the rates in different I don't think it is happening in Kerala, because unfortunately now we have become a consumer state. The amount of farming that happens is very less, mostly confined to Palakkad and some areas. But otherwise, in places where there is farming, in Maharashtra, in Andhra Pradesh, there is a lot of suicides going on, which is causing a social disruption, and the health of the whole community is hampered because of these reasons. So I will come to the details of each aspect. So these are the different aspects of environment that we should be knowing: extreme heat, outdoor air quality, even indoor air quality, flooding, vector-borne infections, water-related infections, food-related infection like salmonella, and mental health and well-being, a very important aspect which many times people don't really give focus into. So what are the exposures? Like elevated temperature, poor air quality, contaminated water, and expanded tick activity, the water-related infections like Vibrio, and increased growth of pathogens because of salmonella exposure, etc. So what are the health outcomes? It can cause different illness. We'll come into the detail. I'll take you through the details of different systems which get affected because of heat, etc. And because of poor air quality, there is premature death, different respiratory illnesses. Flooding can cause direct impact like drowning, injuries, mental health consequences, different gastrointestinal problems, vector-borne. Now we have Lyme disease, but even the Ebola that happened and the Nipah outbreak that happened in Calicut, we know that there is definitely some interference which is related to the vector-borne diseases. Now there is diarrhea and intestinal illnesses, salmonella infection, etc. So these are the different impact of environment that happens. Many of the time we only focus on the health outcome. We really don't get into the reason why it is happening. So again, this is a very busy slide, as busy our OPDs that I am sure during the viral fever season, I was there during the chikungunya season, and we used to see around 150 patients in 2 to 3 hours. And this slide, I'm sorry for that it is very busy, but I did not want to change the texture because it has been very clearly shown. So the different aspect of environment that we discussed are heat, hurricanes, flooding, drought, air pollution, cold, etc. And these are the different consequences in cardiovascular diseases, tachycardia, hypertension, syncope. As you know, heat stroke causes syncope. It can even cause death, cardiac arrhythmias, heart failures, angina pectoris, etc. Because of the plaque, it may not be directly causing, but again, these are the different aspects in cardiovascular diseases, which as cardiologists and as primary physicians, we all should be knowing. And in the case of kidney diseases, because of heat, dehydration, there is increased risk of kidney stones. There is acute kidney failure, again in heat stroke. In chronic kidney failures can happen when there is hypothermia, chronic people working in very much hot conditions, not having proper water intake. It can again cause all these problems. And again, these are all the different aspects of environment changes. So coming to the respiratory illness, we all know about air pollution. Air pollution is one of the most common causes of death in the world. And these are the different aspects of respiratory diseases: allergy, dyspnea, asthma, and respiratory infections, and even lung cancer. As an oncologist, I am seeing many patients who are coming to me without any history of smoking. They are many of them are living in urban or rural areas, and many females are coming, and we really don't know why it is happening. And the most postulated reason is that it is because of fine particles which go into and that is why adenocarcinomas, if you remember, is seen in the peripheral areas, not like squamous cell carcinomas. And the reason it is said is that these fine particles navigate through the bronchus and bronchioles and reach to the periphery. Most of the pulmonologists will agree with me when I say that the incidence of allergy, asthma, and bronchial hyperactivity is increasing, and especially in the cities. And in Delhi, when there is a season when the dry hay is burned, there is a lot of smog in the city, and the incidence of allergic and asthma related problems go on a rise. So these are the impact of environmental interventions. This is the impact of planet that it's happening on the health. And again, coming to, we have more slides, I will go fast. So in 2012, it was seen that exposure to indoor and outdoor air pollution was found to cause 7 million deaths worldwide, making it the largest single environmental health risk, especially now in Kerala, that we have a lot of activity going on, we would say that a lot of road work is going on, new industries are the infrastructure is coming up, and definitely in cities, the risk of outdoor and indoor pollution is definitely high. So we need to understand that there is some way we have to take care of this situation. So, and coming to the vector-related diseases, heat and humidity, drought, storms, heavy rains, and flooding. We all know about flooding. We are all aware that when there is a flooding, we are all worried about the Elipani, the leptospirosis that happens. And we are all ready with the doxycycline to be given to patients who come with fever, and we know that they may have an exposure to the leptospirosis. So this is again, I will come to the details. When there is a heat and humidity issue, there is an increase of vector shift from the normal habitat to the populated areas. There is increased risk of the unpure water for drinking. There is increased risk of mix up of bad water with the water source. As you know, it can also increase the mosquito breeding. We are all aware about it. And as mosquito becomes the natural source for the vectors to grow, we know that we have a lot of viral fevers coming during that period. Again, these are not the diseases that we find in Kerala, but in most of our place, whenever there is a flood, whenever there is a drought or increase in heat and humidity, there is a problem of vector-borne diseases. Coming to the neurological disorders, it is seen that, as we know, there is a stroke, which is specifically called as heat stroke. And there are so many reasons. It's because of hyperviscosity related to dehydration. There is some evidence that Parkinsonism can happen because of exposure to toxins. Alzheimer's and dementia is also known to be related to heavy metals. There is learning disorders. and it may be related to a lot of stress related to the mental disorders also. And there are some situations where there is a post-traumatic stress causing epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, etc. So, and meningococcal meningitis is again caused by the infection. Coming to the gastrointestinal diseases, we all know when there is a flood, we see that there is an increase in gastrointestinal problems, diarrhea, and patients come with dehydration, get admitted because of the complications because of diarrhea. Then there are gastrointestinal infections and food poisonings that can happen, liver dysfunction, especially because of environmental toxins like aflatoxin, which is many times seen in areas where we keep in humid areas where the hay is kept uncovered, and the fungal elements grow up, and it can cause even the liver cancer in future. So, and about the eye diseases, again, we all know when there is increase in heat, we have eye diseases coming up, conjunctivitis coming up, we have strain on the eyes, and pterygium, cataracts, etc. Coming to the mental health disorders, we all know when there is, we are all anxious, even if we are not in the state, when there is a flood, we are all anxious, even out of the state, what happens to our families and our people. So definitely the people who are undergoing such a situation of landslides or floods or hurricanes, there is anxiety and depression. And even the COVID that had happened, a lot of efforts were done by the Medical Officers Association and IMA for finding out solution to anxiety and depression. So again, there is a post-traumatic stress, psychosocial problems. Again, these are all related to the environmental problems that we have discussed. Coming to the maternal and pediatric disorders, there is maternal malnutrition, especially when there is social impact of droughts and floods, and premature births, microcephaly, low birth weight, and perinatal mortalities. Fortunately for us in Kerala, there is a lot of system in place to detect and to do the needful, and there is support from the government and the NGOs, but still it's a big issue in places where there is no proper child and maternal health care. If there is an imbalance in environmental situations, there is a lot of rise in these aspects of effect on maternal and pediatric disorders. So what are the social impacts? Again, I would like to focus on the mental health because it is so important as physicians. When we are there in a busy OPD, it is not possible for us, but definitely if you ask, every patient who comes to you will have some issues, especially when it is after a natural calamity or after an environmental disaster like that happens with floods and landslides. So anxiety and depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, insecurity, grief. Definitely there is more instances of alcohol misuse. It can cause dislocation. People migrate from villages to cities, again having impact on the system there, and it can have specific impacts on children, women, and elderly. So this is a beautiful picture which actually shows the different aspects which I have discussed. This is a situation where you can see these are the vulnerable people, the elderly people, the people who are having physical disabilities, they are vulnerable, and these are the different aspects. Medical and physical health can be affected by climate change. This just shows the air pollution, the fire, the heat, the floods, the temperature, and a lot of the poor soil, the absence of rain or more rain, etc. These are all the climate impacts. It can cause changes in medical and physical health, mental health, and community health. So these are the different impact that you can see happens. And when it happens in community level, there can be increase in sort of violence and crime, social instability, and decreased community cohesion. So apart from this aspect, there is something called environment and dietary habits. It is seen that unhealthy diets, especially as an oncologist, I need to many times explain to my patients regarding unhealthy diet. It doesn't mean vegetarian versus non-vegetarian. It only means excess of processed foods and red meats should be avoided, because they are carbon intensive. They cause obesity, and obesity can cause all the type of non-communicable diseases, including cancers, hypertension, diabetes, etc. And there is also this concept that suppose we don't have a very good neighborhood fresh food markets, that can cause increased fast food chains. Every time I am there in our state, I see that on the side of the road, the fast food chains, every time it multiplies. And it's not that, it's also a way of living for many of our community. But the thing is that the fast food chains definitely influence the dietary habits. there is more of fat, there is more of processed food, there is more of red meat, and that can in the long term cause problems to the health of our patients. Definitely, I'm sure most of you are seeing that happening already. And regarding the communicable diseases, and it is seen that about 1/2 of childhood pneumonia deaths are caused by rudimentary cook stoves because of the indoor smoke. Fortunately, now most of us have gas stoves, but we all remember a time when we used to burn, especially made the cow dung cakes and all. I still remember in our childhood we used to have it. It is all over. That's fortunately for us in Kerala, but it is still prevalent in most of our part in our country. Unsafe drinking water, sanitation and hygiene still remains. 58% of deaths, under 5 deaths, is because of diarrheal diseases, and that is because of unsafe drinking water, sanitation and hygiene. Again, this is an important environmental impact, or the planet's impact, because the planet is not being taken care well by the human beings. And it is said that contaminated air, water and soil caused about 9 million deaths in 2012. It is like more than 1 in 7 deaths is caused by these aspects. And unfortunately, 94% of these deaths occur in low and middle income countries. And we all belong to this country, not only us, the Africa, many of the Asian countries belong in this aspect. And it is important for us to understand that it is this is the need of the hour, that we find out how can we reduce this. There are some things which we cannot do. There are many reasons, many causes of diseases which we cannot actually change, but these are the things which we can change, or which we can modify, and definitely will have an impact on death and morbidity. So this is what is happening. Climate drivers, increased temperature, extreme weather events, sea level rise causes exposure pathways, extreme heat, poor air quality, poor food quality, changes in infectious diseases like what we saw with COVID, population displacement, and these are the health outcomes: heat-related illness, cardiopulmonary illness, food, water, vector-borne disease, mental health consequences. And as we all know, the aspect does not only have the climate drivers. There is a social and behavioral aspect. There is the aspect of having lifestyle changes like alcohol, smoking, etc. This all can cause actually increased impact of this thing. So this is one interesting graph I would like all of you to see. This is around 2 to 5 million years when our ancestors were hunting and gathering. The number of this is the before Christ, that 8,000 before Christ time. What was the population? It is in billions, and around 2000 we have touched the billion. And as you can 2000 BC, it was increasing from 2000 AD. As you see, there was a plague which caused a dip. After that, because of Industrial Revolution, the population of the world is increasing in a exponential way. You can see in 2000 where we were, and in 2100 the expected population is going to be billions, 10 billion. So definitely the impact of increased population is happening over the earth or the planet. The need for food, the need for the basic necessities, and the excesses that we are doing to the planet are all contributing. So when there is excessive human pressure on global environment, there can be climate change. So this is actually a vicious cycle. It's not that the climate is changing by itself. There is an impact of basically we only, or maybe many of the times we only, who are the causes of climate change. So when there is a climate change, when there is ozone depletion, when there is forest clearance and land cover change, when there is soil degradation and desertification, when there is loss of wet loss, biodiversity loss, freshwater depletion, urbanization, and damage to the coastal reefs and ecosystem. These are the environmental changes that has an impact because of the human pressure, because of the pressure of human population. These changes can happen. As we discussed, there can be direct health impacts, there can be ecosystem mediated health impacts, including infectious diseases risk, and there can be indirect, deferred, and displaced health impact. What are they? They are diverse health consequences like livelihood loss, population displacement, including slums, the increase in slums, conflicts, and inappropriate adaptation. So this is actually a graph which shows you the temperature extremes in Bhutan. As you can see, as the years go by, the temperature is steadily increasing, and that is what we are saying by global warming. So again, this is all we have discussed. Again, this is a very interesting graph. You see, this was done in Lima, Peru, where they saw that when the daily temperature has variations, the daily diarrhea admissions also had variations. This might be because of dehydration. This is definitely because of unhealthy water or impure water. So definitely even the temperature variation can have impact on the diarrheal incidence. So that's why so it is said that it increases by 8% for each 1% increase in temperature. Again, floods, we all know now in Kerala, we all are aware of all these things. I've already discussed about these things. And this was one, again, a study which showed that the number of cholera cases when El Nino started, it exponentially increased, and when it stopped, it came down. So again, it's showing that the different studies are showing that yes, there is an impact on this El Nino or hurricanes on our health. Now, the air quality, again, I have discussed this. I will not go into the detail again. So it has definitely a lot of impact on the health of the people. Again, this has been discussed. As we know, there is something called particulate matter, and the toxic gases and particulate matter from the industries are causing different respiratory illnesses, and even they can cause cancer. Mosquito-borne diseases. So what I was discussing that time was the vectors will change when the distribution of vectors, the vectors from the forest land may move to the urban land or the villages when there is increasing temperature, when there is change in the rainfall, when cyclones happen, when there is rise in sea levels, and there is extreme tides, as it happened in the tsunami period. This is another important aspect which the Save Soil is taking care, and most of the aspects which I have said definitely will have an impact, as Ms. Pravina said, regarding the impact. But this is the main thing that is happening. So whenever there is a food production issue, when there is a land-based agriculture, when there is a loss of soil fertility because of loss of organic content, when there is salinization because of the sea cover, and the changes in crop yields, etc., the changes in pests and weeds and diseases, or use of agrochemicals. Now, the use of pesticides and fertilizers have been one of the reasons that we had a sustained green revolution, but what you call as indiscriminate use of pesticides and fertilizers can cause, and we are all aware of what happened, and this is our own issue that we all have seen in our we have all I'm sure many of the health workers who have worked in Kasaragod have seen such patients, and it's very, very sad that the effect of what we or our previous generation has done is affecting the unborn child or the child. It's very sad, actually. So we do hope, fortunately, it has been stopped. But just like the nuclear bomb that happened in Tokyo, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the effect of such indiscriminate use of pesticides is still continuing. People are still having issues regarding the reproduction, and the children who are grown, who are born, are having these defects. So it's said that around 4,200 people may be poisoned. So if the people who don't know about endosulfan, this is a very potential toxic pesticide which was used as especially in the cashew nut farms, and it was used to it was sprinkled over the farms using helicopters and other means, and that actually polluted the soil, it polluted the water, and the people who were living there all got affected. It said around 4,000 people have been affected, with 500 deaths. Much more than that, people have been affected because of the impact on the organogenesis. Yes, you can see in the pictures. These are all real pictures. Much more difficult pictures are there, and it has been banned for more than 20 years. And some years back, it was also banned in our state. So this is one aspect where we know that our indiscriminate effect, maybe it is for the human well-being at that point of time, but if we are not having the vision that it can be really dangerous for the generations to come, these all things can happen. So this again is a soil degradation. As I said, less than 62% of India's soil has 0.5% organic content. The ideal organic content should be more than 3%, and that is going to have a big effect on the future agriculture and the social impact. So this is another issue where Again, I will not go into the details. The increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere can cause can cause the decrease in the nutrient value of food. And similarly, increased oxygen amount in the atmosphere can cause better nutrients in the food. So this again will have an impact. Ultimately, whatever we use in the farm is going to come back to us in our dining table. So this is the impact that happens with increasing carbon dioxide. So just in the last few slides in the presentation, because as an oncologist, I need to talk about cancer and planet or the environmental factors. As you all know, there are physical factors, ionizing radiation, ultraviolet radiation, which can cause cancers. Chemical factors like tobacco and alcohol, which is basically related to the lifestyle changes, but definitely it's part of even people who have passive smoking, the people who have smokers at home. It is said that 20 to 30% higher risk to develop lung cancer when compared to a person who has not been exposed to smoke. So definitely it's an environmental indoor pollution that happens when someone is there in home who is having tobacco. And biological factors include physical activity, definitely obesity, and mutagenic and carcinogenic compounds, infection, etc. This is just a table which shows what are the different metals which can cause cancer: arsenic, beryllium, cadmium, chromium, lead, nickel, etc. And there are different cancers like skin cancers, lung cancer, kidney cancers, and etc. Nickel, which is in the paint industry, lead is used, and these are all things which can cause. As you can see, they have mentioned what are the different industries in metal coatings, in automotive parts, in cotton dyes, in steel, etc. And this is the way the workers are exposed. So occupational hazards because of the environmental factors are a big thing and needs to be taken care by both the workers and the industry administration also. So this is just a briefing. So whenever there is a normal epithelium and there is an exposure, it can be because of host factors, environmental factors, and diet lifestyle factors. We have a pre-neoplasia, there is a pre-cancerous stage, and then there is an invasive cancer. So what are the host factors? We all know genetics. We all blame genetics. Age is the most important factor. As we all age, we are all at risk to have cancers, and there is an inflammatory state, etc. But we are more interested in the environmental factors, food contaminants, viruses, UV radiation, environmental carcinogens, etc. And very importantly, I would say that this diet and lifestyle factors are also an important factor for cancer process. So what is the impact? So when we see the external environment, polluted air is causing increased risk of lung cancer. It is said that in Delhi, the incidence of lung cancer is increasing because of the pollution. Especially in non-smokers, the increase of lung cancer is increasing. And around 93 rivers, that is 15% of our rivers at multiple locations in the country has been found to have unacceptable water quality. That has been because of the urbanization, because of industries. Then e-waste handling and dumping sites. Now we all are using mobiles and computers. So they all have higher heavy metal concentrations like cadmium, chromium, and which I was mentioning. So, and in the soil and water, it can cause again more cancers. So it is seen. So there is people who are from North India, they know the Gangetic belt around Bihar and West Bengal and UP. There is increased incidence of gallbladder cancers, and it is found that the heavy metals are the cause of this. This is something called internal environment, microbiome. Only 2 more slides. There is something called microbiome inside our body, which is actually a collection of useful bacteria that lives in our gut, which helps us in immunity. There is something called gut nervous system. There is something called gut immunity, and this is all mediated by microbiome. This is the internal environment, and it is seen that the quality of soil, the quality of food, the quality of the inhalation, the quality of whatever we take as food, and whatever we have as our food, it has an effect on the microbiome, and it can actually cause higher risk of immunodeficiencies and cause cancer. Again, this is a very much known fact that microbiome, when there is a deficiency of microbiome, or there is a degradation of microbiome in our body, there is an increased risk of cancer. So as doctors, what can we do? That is very important. I have been talking about the tragedies and about the impact. So we have to know about these things before we can do something. And the most important thing is to educate the population on how to prevent climate change. to conduct epidemiological surveillance of climate sensitive diseases, to set up warning systems when there is an, I'm sure I know the organizations and the doctor community is doing that, but this is important that we know how to set up warning systems for extreme weather events, to organize epidemiological surveillance of physical and mental health. We should know, and to monitor the physical and mental health of affected populations, to collaborate with scientific research, and also to lobby government and municipal authorities regarding the possibility of lowering the risk through prevention. That is, as mentioned, there is the tunnel project by increasing the forestation and etc. So again, this is an aspect of how to manage different aspects, the food management, nutrient management. Ultimately, the human well-being depends on all these things. Again, these are the different aspects, having a healthy weight, physically active, have a diet rich in whole grains, vegetables, less consumption of fast foods, less consumption of red and processed meat, limit consumption of sugar and sweetened drinks, limit alcohol consumption, do not use supplements for cancer prevention. There is no role for mothers breastfeed and when there is a diagnosis to treat. So this is the 3 things which we should know. This is my last slide. There should, the solar energy is there. There is the recycling of chemical waste and biodiversity. This is the way we will be able to sustain a healthy planet and in turn a healthy human being. So thank you for your kind attention. I would be happy to have questions at the end of the next talk. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sujit has elaborated various environmental determinants of health in detail. Thank you, sir, for your kind and valuable words. Now let me introduce Dr. Arundhati. She is currently working as professor in the Department of Radiology and Imaging at Savitha Medical College, Chennai. She completed her MD Radiology from PJMR. Madam, may I call upon you to deliver a few words on the topic Health of Planet, Soil in Critical Care Unit.
Thank you, Doctor, for the opportunity. I thank the team for the opportunity for giving me this opportunity to talk. Let me share the screen. So you have to enable me to share the screen. So it's been, I really feel happy to be one among you on the occasion of World Health Day to speak on the topic, which is the need of the hour, the soil, the health of the planet. For me to share the screen, I think the host disabled participant screen sharing, I think you need to enable me. Otherwise, I cannot. Is it audible?
Yes, it is audible. It's audible.
But I'm not able to share the screen.
Kindly disable the share screening thing.
Is it visible?
No, madam, it's not visible yet.
Okay.
No.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So I thank Dr. Venugopal and the team for giving me this opportunity on the World Health Day. Thank you, Dr. Sujit, for the elaborate talk on the health and the environment. So, as I already said, I feel really happy to be one among you to talk on the topic, which is the need of the hour, the health of the planet. Being a doctor, as Dr. Sujit was mentioning, health is defined as, it is not merely absence of disease, but it is a state of physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. So health beyond body, we can see this in, it can be seen in two ways. See,
Can you make it enlarge the slides? Can you slide show?
It is in slideshow only. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. For us to, as a doctor, when we go by the definition of health is a state of, it's not merely absence of disease, but it is a state of physical and mental and social well-being. So the physical well-being is the foundation on which we build the mental and the social and the spiritual well-being. That is one thing. So for us to have the physical well-being, what is more important is the soil health. That is more important. So there is no physical well-being without the soil health. So I also, at this juncture, I also want to say one saying. In Malayalam, it goes like this: Nesopharinax lagukarika padina prakriyana nadi vyugam. So it means in Tamil we say noi nadi, noi mudal nadi, adu tanikkum vai nadi, vaipa chayal, which means as a doctor, we should know the nature of the disease and the cause of the disease, and then the method by which we cure the disease. So this is what, as a doctor, we are doing. So when I apply this to the health of the planet, so what is the nature of the disease now we are facing? The soil is depleting. That is, the organic content of the soil it's coming down. So what is the cause? Because thousands of years of repeated farming, with the increasing demand, the human population explosion. So the organic content of the soil, which has to be around 3 to 6%, it is decreasing, and it is what the scientists are saying, it is now only 0.3 to 0.5%. So the human health is directly proportional to the soil health. So what is soil health? It is the functionality of the soil as a living ecosystem, which is capable of sustaining plants, animal, and the human life. So it is a balanced balance between the ecosystem, between the living organisms as well as the non-living things. So as we all know, there is this topsoil, which is the biomass, which is around 30, the topsoil is said to be around 36 to 39 inches, where we have this biodiversity. We have the symbiosis between the fungi, bacteria, virus, worms, and insects happening between these organisms and the roots. So without the symbiosis between these multitude, zillions of organisms and the roots, we will not be getting the food. So this is because of the living organisms, the bacteria, algae, the earthworms, which are decomposing, which are actually making their food by the organic, the matter, the decomposed matter, they utilize that and they make the nutrients, different plant nutrients, and this in turn becomes a plant nutrients and our nutrition. If there is a depletion of soil, so eventually there is less of biodiversity, and our nutritional level and the immunity of our human immunity will decrease, leading on to diseases. So health of the planet is not an option, but it is a necessity. So only one thing for enhancing the soil health is, the one most important thing is to enhance the green cover of the planet. That is the main thing which we'll have to do. So this is about the biodiversity, which I was mentioning. So zillions of organisms in the topsoil in symbiotic relationship with the roots. They are giving different, see, you need the different variety of organisms to be there. Otherwise, we will not get different variety, the multitude of different nutrients, the vitamins and minerals, because different organisms, they produce different nutrients. So presence of all the different variety of organisms is very essential for us to get a nutritious diet, nutritious food. That is very essential. So what the research scientists are saying is now the 80%, because of repeated tilling, repeated the harvesting and the farming, the 80% of the biomass, the biodiversity is gone. So it is our responsibility as human being and for the future generation to see what we can do to enhance the biodiversity of the soil. So over 50% of the world agricultural land has lost its fertility. That is, as I was mentioning, the soil fertility, for us to call the soil is fertile, the organic content has to be 3 to 6%. So 1 acre of soil is turning into desert every second, which means when the soil loses its organic content, it turns into sand. And the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization is telling, if this scenario is going to continue, the world will run out of cultivable land in another 60 years. So soil erosion, the soil degradation which has happened in the last, may say 30 to 50 years, over the years, it is actually a gradual process of movement and transport of the upper layer of the soil. So it is due to various causes, water, wind, and mass movement causing it is deteriorating. So what we can do is we can adapt to healthy farming practices. See, the crop rotation, growing different crops in the successive years, growing different crops, and also intercropping. At the same time, we do different crops in the same land, and also the agroforestry. Agroforestry means, many of us know, this is in the farmlands, we also integrate the farming with planting trees in between the farmlands. This is agroforestry, which can increase the yield for the farmers, and also it can increase the green litter and thus the organic content of the soil. So I have already mentioned, with the gradual usage of the soil in last 100 years, the biomass has significantly reduced, and this is actually real death of life. We also see apart from the harvesting, the repeated farming, population explosion which is happening, we are also cutting a lot of trees and exporting the animals and the cattle for various reasons, which is actually nothing but transport and exportation of the topsoil, which is a fertile soil which we are exporting. So effects of soil degradation. So as I already mentioned, the human health, the physical health is directly, not only the physical health, even the mental health is directly proportional to the soil health. So when with the depletion, with the degradation of the soil, the organic content is coming down, and the organic content is very essential. See, in the soil acts as it is the largest water sink, and also it is the largest carbon sink. So when the soil is fertile, when the organic content is more, what happens? It is not that it is not raining. We are getting the rainfall. The main reason for the flood is whatever rain we get, because there is no organic content, the water is lost the ability to hold the soil has lost its ability to hold the water, because it is the network of the roots and the porosity of the soil and the organic matter which holds the groundwater. So it is not that we are not getting rain, we are getting rain, but the main reason for the flood is the land is not able to hold the water in place. So it is running off as flood. That is the main reason for the drought and the flood which we are getting. So the nutritional value deteriorates. See, as a human being, in the present condition, say with the advent of all the medicine, technology, everything, what we are seeing as doctors is the health, the non-communicable diseases are on the high, they are increasing. The main reason for that is the soil depletion, the nutritional depletion. So the micronutrient content of the soil is gone down very significantly, and we know that India is the diabetic capital, and this also indirectly related to the soil health. And we have around 50 to 70, not only the Indian children, but also the Indian women are anemic because of the depletion in the micronutrient in the soil. So the amount of nutrition which we are getting now, when we compare the nutrition which our grandparents were getting, it is only, I mean, it's actually 8 times less. Our grandparents were getting 8 times more nutrition than what we are getting now. There is a research which says there is significant reliable decrease in the amount of protein, calcium, phosphorus, and iron. That's why the non-communicable diseases on the increase. So when I talk about the immunity and the soil health, so these last 3 years, the COVID pandemic, one of the contributing factors for the morbidity and the mortality, apart from the virulence of the virus, it also the depletion of the soil, the lack of immunity. That is the main reason. Though we can say we are eating, many of us are not eating fruits and vegetables. But even if we say that we are eating fruits and vegetables, all the fruits and vegetables are only water bags because of the soil depletion. See, the nutrition is, there is a nutritional decline by 30% in all the fruits and vegetables. So there is a threat for the food security. So that's what the United Nations Farming and Agricultural Organization is saying. We have only 60 years of soil left if we continue this, if we are not going to take any step towards soil health. So as I already was mentioning, our grandparents' diet was 8 times richer than our diet because of the decline of the nutrition. And the climate change, one of the main reasons for the climate change is because of the soil depletion, because the degraded soil emits more carbon dioxide. 850 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to 30 years of emission, and it leads on to the global warming. And as I already mentioned, the degraded soils are less able to hold onto the water. That's why we have the flood and drought. And that is loss of biodiversity. Yes, we every year it is said that 27,000 species of the 27,000 species, the entire species are getting extinct every year. So, and also we all know hundreds and thousands of farmers are committing suicide. The main reason is the soil depletion, because they are not able to get the income for whatever effort we are making. They are not able to get the income. So reviving the soil quality will increase their income by 75%. So with this, I'm coming to the end of my topic, health of the planet, which is the need of the hour. So as doctors, today we have come together on this World Health Day. It's for a purpose. There is a purpose for everything. So we have, because our perspective is changing. See, we are thinking of health, and the health is beyond the body. So we are thinking of the doctors, we're thinking of soil health. That is a great change in the perspective towards the health which is happening. So as I already mentioned, when we hear there are hundreds and thousands of farmers are committing suicide and there is nutritional deficiency, 800 million people across the world are in hunger. And even in India, 8 million people, they go to bed without their food. It is happening. When we hear this, definitely we feel, we become emotional. But as doctors, we are very busy in our day-to-day life. We are not able to do, as an individual, we are not able to do much. But here we have the opportunity. ISHA Foundation and Sadhguru has initiated the Save Soil movement. This is actually his dream. It is a 24-year plan that it is a lone motorcycle rally, and he is driving 27 countries, covering 30,000 kilometers, 100 days, and he is doing this for all of us. So what we have to do is, see, this soil movement is to seek the government to create policies and to set budgets so that the ecological issues become the election issues. Now we are mainly focusing on the economy. When we are focusing on the economy, we are essentially losing the point. It is the soil which is very essential for the existence of life. So it is to seek the government across the world, the government across the globe to create policies and set budgets so that the ecological issues become the election issues. So our role in this is very simple. There is a website called savesoil.org. We can all log on to savesoil.org and see as to what is the Save Soil movement. This is a very simple thing which we can do and it is for us to save the soil. We can also spread this message across our friends and relatives so that we will, everybody who lives on the planet, it is, if we say that we love our child, if we say we love our, future generation, this is the only thing, this is the main thing which we can do. Save, a simple step is to log on to savesoil.org and support the movement, because for the government to, it is a democratic world, for the government to take action, the government has to see that more than 50% of the world population is supporting this cause. So more than 50% population is, it's around 3.5 billion people. So if we support the cause, we will definitely leave a healthy soil for our future generation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, madam, for your kind and valuable words. Now the topic is open for discussion. Kindly put forward your questions to our eminent speakers, Dr. Sujit Kumar and Dr. Arundhati. You can also put your questions in the chat box if you have. There are two questions in the chat box, madam. If you could answer those questions.
Regarding the RO issue, I think it depends on the place where the person is staying, not the water. The water quality at every area is not the same. So there are means to see how what is the E. coli count and what is the amount of the impurities in water, and that can be taken across. Otherwise, simple boiling water would be a better choice if the water quality is not really bad. I'm not an expert in that, but that is what I understand about this topic. And about the second thing which was mentioned, yes, as doctors group, that is what the first step of the reason why we chose this topic was awareness is also very important. And as initially the president said, we all learn about these things in our community medicine chapters, and many times we don't practice it because we are all clinicians most of the time. So that was the reason why we introduced the topic of awareness. And as doctors group, as I had shown in my last slides, we can create systems of education. Once we are aware, we can be the people who can make more awareness among the community, especially the patient and support groups. And when there is a event like nowadays we know many of the times we have floods, especially in the monsoon season, the doctors in that area can actually have can do a survey of what was the impact in the last time, and as health workers, how can we prevent the because the government is definitely doing the work by providing food and other shelter, but as doctors, how can we create committees, especially focusing on the last year's experience of either diarrheal diseases or some other, even mental impact, the mental stress that has happened because of such events. There can be support groups, telephone-based support systems, etc., which we can definitely do. These are the ways I would say about the impact. Regarding the soil part, definitely we are all human beings first, and then only we are doctors. We can, as Professor Arundhati said, be part of the movement or not. We all can have voice regarding saving the soil. We can be the leaders in that, especially in our locality. And you see, you can making and maintaining a garden or having your own farmland is definitely a good choice. But at a community level, we will have to, because we are, in a way, being doctor means being a leader or being an advisor. So we can definitely take up the concept with the community leaders, the panchayat, and the district administration. We can put a point about the impact of, because only when as doctors we say that this is impacting the health of our patients, this is impacting the health of us, we should do something, the governments may listen, the local government or the district level administration may listen. So I think the first step would be to make a group of like-minded people who are aware about this and who want to do, because I know in IMA or in KGMOA, there will be different committees which are taking care of the legal aspects, which are taking care of the education aspects, CME aspects. So the first step I would suggest is to have a committee among the KGMOA members in the district for the soil. You can call it, you can use the Save Soil aspects, or you can have your own soil awareness campaigns, but that would be the first step, I would say, and then have a meeting and decide what are the workable things that you can do.
Actually,
as Dr. Sujit, 1 minute, as Dr. Sujit was mentioning, see, we are doctors, but in first place, we are also the human beings. So that's why we are together here today. It's not only because that we are doctors. So to enhance the health, there are natural, the health is about holistic approach. So we can also think beyond the medicine and the allopathic medicine. There are certain organic substances like the turmeric and the neem. In my experience, though I am an allopathic doctor, I'm a radiologist, I am seeing, I want to share my personal experience when it comes to health. See, I used to have repeated attacks of cold, cough, and asthma. So when I started taking this turmeric, neem, and also when I started doing certain simple, very simple yogic practice, to my surprise, now for the past 10 years, I'm completely healthy. So see, it is not only about the allopathy, it is a holistic approach. It is about not the way which we are choosing, it is to see how we can be healthy by choosing whatever it is branches of medicine, whether it is allopathy, homeopathy, or Ayurveda, or some natural ways to improve the health, to enhance the health. So if we can follow the holistic approach, not only the medicine, it includes some meditation and yoga. So what I'm seeing among doctors is, so we say health, we define health as a state of, not merely absence of disease, but a state of physical and mental well-being. But it is true that definitely many of the doctors, because in my hospital, I am seeing because we are very busy in our profession, we don't have time to think about the mental health. So it is time that we also start thinking about the mental health, and we, in a broader perspective, we also start doing some meditation and yogic practices. And we can also advise the same to our patients.
Thank you, madam. Actually, today's topics are actually quite elaborate and excellent. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam, for your excellent presentations. There is one more question in the chat box.
Yeah, regarding the consumer state, I think regarding Ramesh Kumar sir has asked about Kerala's consumer state. So very true, as I was mentioning that unfortunately, that many parts of our state, we don't have, it is there, but even my grandfather was a farmer, my father was a soldier, and now I am a doctor. We have some farmland which other people do farming, but it's not a large scale farming. So what I would suggest is, one thing is that what we can do as doctors is, and we have had very good social media things about polluted fruits and vegetables. We had a movie which really brought the aspect into the limelight. But how many of us actually follow? We can, you see, this is every small attempt is a useful attempt. So regarding the farming in our terraces, and regarding having community farming with other people joining hands. And another thing which I would say is that as doctors, if it is possible economically, we should, maybe KGMOA can also take a stand on that. If there are farmers who are doing organic farming and they have their shops and all, you can negotiate with them, and you can be their what we call as loyal customers. And that way people will come forward. The reason there is not much the impetus for organic farming is that it is a costly affair. People don't really value that till now. They don't value it. So if as doctors, if you can come forward, and as an association, if you can have a bargain and make a deal with them that we will be the monthly this much amount of vegetables we will be buying from you, I am sure there will be people who are interested to have a deal with you, and that will actually help you also as part of organic vegetables, etc. So these are the aspects at the prime. What I would say, just like we treat patients in the clinic when the disease has come, and we give the medicine and they get better. This aspect of having the food which is organic, or having our own terrace garden or our own community farming, they are all at the level of us. But more than that, as a community, as a person who is responsible towards the planet, if we need to do something more, definitely we need to make our voice heard in whatever way it's possible. And the reason why this concept has come about, Save Soil, is the basic, I will just elaborate it what the way, so the concept is to make governments give incentives to farmers to have, to grow trees and not only their own farm, their own their own agriculture, but have the trees and what you call as the trees which can be actually used as in future for whatever industries it is useful. So basically to make the farmland more economical and more profitable for the farmers, this movement is trying to improve, trying to increase the voice of us, all of us, to make the government listen to us, that they give incentives to farmers to grow what you call as, I don't get the exact term, basically to have trees grown in their farms to increase the shade, to increase the organic content, and also that trees can be used as a source of income. So this is a way we can do this. Voice is our choice, but the other aspects would be what I said, to improve organic farming in our own place, to have our own community farming, and to have our own individual farming in the terrace. That is what I would like to say. I would invite, there will be senior people here who may be actually doing agriculture. They can come out with their ideas. It will be great.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable advice. If there are no more questions, let me invite Dr. Mohammed Fawaz, Joint Secretary, KGMOA Thrissur, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Your order.
Good evening. I feel happy to have the opportunity for delivering the vote of thanks speech on behalf of my association, KGMOA Thrissur. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Mohan sir, who inaugurated our session. Thank you, sir. We have been fortunate to be led by Dr. Asina ma'am, our district president, Thrissur KGMOA. Thank you, ma'am, for delivering the presidential speech. I may like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to the members of Save the Soil initiative for their enormous cooperation in conducting this seminar. I also must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Ms. Pravina ma'am, who have attended this webinar and delivered the keynote address. Also, further, we are very grateful to our eminent speakers, Dr. Sujit Kumar sir and Dr. Arundhati ma'am, for delivering such a topic. I'm very much sure that the topic was very gray area for majority of us, very less explored, but very much important in the current scenario. Thank you, sir and ma'am, for conducting this very good session and eye-opening one. I also wish to express my gratitude to our district secretary, Dr. VP Venugopal sir, who have given much effort in conducting this webinar, very beautifully and smoothly. Finally, in one word, I would like to thank all KGMOA members, senior KGMOA leaders, KGMOA, senior KGMOA doctors, and all the members of KGMOA and all other people who have attended this webinar. Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
We are closing the meeting.